over the years, but
Yes.
email and phone.
Phone, yeah. It's good to like put faces and names
Well,
together.
especially after the pandemic, everyone was so separated during that time.
Yeah.
I feel like I was meeting a lot of people for the first time.
How's it going? Maxwell, Jeff. Nice to meet you.
But anything you ever need, there's my personal cell phone, whatever. Sometimes our news releases is responding.
We always have a really that's going on.
And both my parents are right? And I do a lot of crime stories. I do all the stories where there's officer-involved shootings as well. But to balance that out, even retired deputies, retired police officers, the ways that they're giving back to the community, that they, left the department and started a community organization, just anything to highlight a retired police officer or a police officer doing this kind of thing.
How do you feel about Secret Santa?
Love Secret Santa.
So our office actually brought it up, but it's important. So our community is sworn.
I'm working with Lucy today, and I'm covering the Secretary of State's Department press conference about state ID cards. Yeah, so are you guys running this and using Spanish sound?
At 11. If you can give me any information you have, I can, after I do this story, I'll focus. After I do this story, I will leave this story tomorrow because I get to leave the story that will start on the official media and then we'll see if we can at least get a reporter out there, but if not, at least there's that preview.
It's very adorable. I mean, it's
Yeah,
very
it's out.
adorable.
And if you guys take even just like a minute of video, then you guys take that audio, put it underneath it, and it's absolutely dynamic. Parts of the story.
The reaction are always questions.
Great.
My like the first time shop where she it's very sweet reaction.
Well, even me, I'm in my mid-40s. I've traveled all my life for work. It's left me fairly isolated. I got a coworker last week. Realized it was the first week we got in a long time. And it was something that's super lame. But the whole concept of it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Thank you for putting some thought into it.
So it's this announcement.
Oh, you're the owner.
No, I'm with
Oh, you're with
So
I know that
That's how
Yeah.
years ago, and then it's been being anticipated state prisoners.
give you the information.
state prisoners, but yeah, so, beginning today, Cook County,
Yeah, include
Cook County inmates will be using
Well, I just didn't know if it had already started or if today's the
Okay,
first day.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'll
Yep.
send those over.
Cool. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
How you doing, Sophia?
And also, if you guys have any,
Just email you. I just come
and we're trying to get the field out of the newsroom, so even if they've got a copy of.
Do we have any inmates?
Or,
Not coming today.
as well.
Yeah, I have to put that on and I'll leave it there.
So the program is a judge will count, so we're in the process of getting them, so we don't have really anyone else.
You guys good? Everybody ready? Good morning. Thank you all for being here. I hope everyone had a wonderful weekend. It's an important day, and before I introduce the other speakers, I wanted to say a few words. Access to things like housing, employment, and health care are essential for everyone. But for those who've been incarcerated, access to a home, a job, and a doctor is commonly impeded by unfair barriers. Each are crucial for successful reentry back into society. And access starts with a small but significant item that many of us take for granted: a state-issued identification card. Today, Sheriff Tom Dart and I, let me do that one again. Today, Sheriff Tom Dart and I are proud to announce this first-in-the-nation program that we hope will be transformative for individuals leaving jail. And we're hopeful this program will one day be replicated not only across Illinois, but in all 50 states. Providing ex-offenders who have successfully completed their sentences with essential resources and tools upon their release will increase their chances to successfully reenter society, become self-sufficient, and rebuild their lives. Our country was founded on the promise of new beginnings, the prospect of better possibilities, and the principles of equal justice under law. But for people returning to their communities from jail or prison, obstacles often stand in their way of turning this promise into a reality, which only sets them up for failure. Not having a valid ID is an all too common example of one of these obstacles. The incarceration system can act like a trap. Once you're in, it's incredibly difficult to get out, even after being released. And for generations, entrenched disparities and disinvestment have made it particularly difficult for people of color and for those living in marginalized and underserved communities to get back on their feet. The crux of the issue is that those who are incarcerated are typically unable to secure the documents they need before their release. But this problem is further complicated and compounded by the fact that they don't have the necessary information, tools, and financial resources after their release to help them navigate the various bureaucracies to obtain a birth certificate and a Social Security card. That can often create a sense of frustration among people who, more than anything, just want to turn their lives around. Equipping them with valid identification will help these individuals with basic tasks like locating housing, securing a job, opening a bank account, enrolling in assistance programs, and obtaining reliable transportation. Fulfilling these basic needs reduces recidivism, saves taxpayer money, and makes all of our communities stronger. We're hopeful more localities and states will recognize the power and significance of redemption in their communities, especially with the launch of this program. Advancing successful reentry outcomes makes our communities safer, disrupts cycles of economic hardship, and strengthens our economy. America must offer meaningful opportunities for redemption and rehabilitation to empower those who have been incarcerated to become productive, law-abiding members of society, reducing crime, and making our communities safer. A valid state identification card is just a small but vital first step in providing an opportunity for second chances. First, I'd like to introduce my very good friend, Cook County Sheriff Tom Dart, whose office not only is partnering with us on this program, but has spearheaded this program. They're the ones that have brought this to our attention. They've been outstanding to work with. Our offices have a shared goal of eliminating the barriers to reintegration for ex-offenders. We connected early on in my administration and committed to getting this program up and running in just a few months. So I want to make sure that we give Sheriff Tom Dart and his entire team the credit they deserve for being so aggressive, for working with us, for being an outstanding leader, and on a broader scale. Today is also about different government agencies working together to help attack a problem. We're seeing Cook County and the state of Illinois work together Sheriff Dart's a great friend, and I look forward to collaborating for many more years to come. Sheriff?
Thanks so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Alexi. I get asked many questions during the course of my job. As you can imagine, as sheriff, one of the primary ones, particularly in this county and with the city, is about crime, about what are the different strategies that we can do to fight crime, address these issues. And there are many, but I will suggest to you in the top 5, top 10 clearly, are jobs and housing. So when people leave a jail, which we have thousands and thousands and thousands of people leave every year, and they do not have an ID, that is an artificial hurdle that prevents those things from happening. Listen, I don't have to go down the line of all the studies that have shown when people have jobs, they do not commit crimes by and large. We all know that. That's common sense. I also can't tell you the number of times when we have people leaving the jail, the thousands of them, mind you, when we try to connect them with housing. And the housing provider will tell us, okay, that's fine, can you just make sure you forward the ID? And we're like, well, no, we don't have one. So, well, can you get that? It's like, no, you don't seem to understand, we don't have it. Somewhere along the way, it's gone. Whether never had it, lost at the time of arrest, is being held for evidence, you name it. They don't have it. So what do? Well, we don't have any options then. And then for years, we have been connecting people with jobs. I cannot tell you the number of times when we've talked to an employer ready to hire this person, a well-paying job that will clearly steer them in a different direction. And they'll say, Tom, everything's great. This is good to go. Can you get us the ID? And then there's the long pause. There's no, we don't have it. So this might sound commonsensical, but as Alexi referenced, we've been working on it in our office now for about 15 years, okay? About 15 years we've been attempting to do this. Lest you think we are uniquely inept, okay? This is not being done anywhere else in the country. And your question is, well, why is that? Why is that? The reason is it's inherently very difficult, folks, because people coming in and out of jail are there for an indeterminate period of time. People coming out of prisons, you literally know the minute they're going to be released. So you can do all of this workup in anticipation of them leaving. When people are in a jail, we'll have people in there for 10, 15 years, unfortunately, waiting on trial, a unique Cook County thing, mind you. We also have people there 2-3 hours. And so within that spectrum, you're attempting to guess when people are going to be released. It just doesn't work. So years ago, we started downloading everyone's information at the start of the time they come into our custody, trying to find out what their needs are. And top of that list was IDs, because it unlocked everything else. And so we have tried and tried and tried. It's been very difficult. I cannot emphasize enough to you. Alexi took this on, I don't want to say day one, but it certainly was in at least week one. And we've been moving on this thing from early on. And we are now at this point now where people are going to be getting their IDs. Our goal is to get to everyone. We're rolling this thing out because we want to get started on this thing with our home monitoring population and some other individuals, but we have already gone to the point where we're overcoming all the hurdles that had been out there in the past. And so I just can't emphasize enough to you, this is really like a game changer. When people are talking about those different strategies, once again, to fight crime, this has got to be right up there at the top. And it's been foolish that we haven't gotten there before. And as Alexi mentioned, boy, oh boy, this needs to be done throughout the country. This isn't something that should be unique to our county. Everywhere they should do this. Because if you're serious about fighting crime, this is what you will do. You will take care of the easy things, connecting people with IDs so they can get jobs, they can find housing. They aren't going to be then just looking to find money to be able to find a place to live and to sustain themselves. No, we can work through these things. So as I said, I can't emphasize enough to you, this is more of a game changer than people can realize. There's people thinking, oh, well, it's just an ID. No. This is going to impact thousands of people, tens of thousands of people every year at our place. And our hope is that this is going to go well beyond that. And once again, I cannot thank Alexi for this. The Safer Foundation is here. We've been working and partnering with them for years. They're phenomenal people that have also been trying to work their way through all these as well. Very frustrating. And you know, the people from the John Howard Association, these are all people who have been working on these issues forever, and they understand the frustrations real well, and they've been great partners throughout this stuff. But really, I just want to thank Alexi for making sure that we finally went beyond the planning stage, and we are now actually doing this. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Sheriff.
Thanks, Bud.
Next, I'm excited to introduce Sadika Williams, Senior Vice President of Reentry Services at the Safer Foundation, which since 1972 has paved the road to reentry for individuals by stabilizing support, employment, education, and advocacy. Sadika works tirelessly to empower individuals, strengthen communities, and create a better way forward for all. So I want to thank her for being here. I also want to thank the Safer Foundation for their critically important work that they do every single day. Sadika?
Thank you. Today is a great day. Secretary, Sheriff, very much commend you for what you've done for so many people. The impact will be profound for so many individuals. When you think about an identification, you think, oh, that's probably not a big deal, but it is. At Safer Foundation, we work to serve individuals. We provide holistic services to get them employed. But we understand in order for an individual to be employed, there are a number of wraparound services that they need, supportive services that they need. Through the work we've done, we have definitely seen that identification is at the top of the unique needs that individuals have to get their lives back on track, whether it's at the county or in the state. Because every day matters when a person is released. Any impact with the criminal legal system immediately will impact their lives, whether it's taking care of their kids, having their housing, losing their job. It is very important. Time is of the essence. So anything we can do to expedite that process where they'll have that ID, the better. Literally days, that first week coming out of the county, very important. When you start translating to what happens in people's lives when they have to try to get a job, when they have to get a house, when they need medication, when they go to their bank to try to withdraw money and they don't have. What happens is individuals could potentially start panicking, they could lose hope, you know, and so what this does for Safer Foundation and other providers is it expedites our ability to be able to get them the critical services they need. Whether it's getting a job, housing, signing them up for Medicaid, getting them insurance benefits, helping them with their bank, whatever their needs are, we take the approach where we are there for them depending on what their needs are. When we have been doing the work for the Supportive Reentry Network Collaborative, which is a healthcare transformation collaborative funded through the state, we have found that our participants, again, this is one of the top issues. We have to start here in order to get them housing. That's going to stabilize them so that they can go get that job. And then when they build trust with our reentry navigators who have lived experience, then they can start sharing things about whether they have behavioral health challenges, whether they have need to go to the doctor for primary care health. So this really is at the very beginning, but it is so critically important because if we can expedite this process here, then we eliminate the wait game. So this is a great day. This is going to change so many lives, and this is going to help providers like Safer to be able to make a significant impact and continue to do the work that we're doing. So thank you so much, and we applaud you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sadika. Thank you, Sadika. Lastly, I'm pleased to present Jenny Volin-Katz. Is that right?
Yeah.
I'm destroying names today, and mine's the hardest, so.
You put your mind, that's
I
all.
know, DART's a tough one. Executive Director of the John Howard Association of Illinois. The John Howard Association is the independent, nonprofit prison watchdog that monitors our prison facilities, policies, and practices. Jennifer leads the association's program work and was a staunch advocate for getting legislation passed that has enabled the Secretary of State's office to issue state IDs to individuals upon their release from Illinois prisons. I also want to recognize Jenny and the work that the John Howard Association does to help the formerly incarcerated. So thank you for your leadership on this critically important issue. Jenny?
Good morning. First, I'd like to thank the Secretary of State and Sheriff Dart for this fantastic program and also for including me in today's conversation. I'm Jenny Volin-Katz. I'm the Executive Director of the John Howard Association, which is an independent prison watchdog organization in Illinois. We We monitor the prisons and advance independent oversight of carceral systems to promote humane treatment and increase transparency. We use our on-the-ground, first-hand observations and what we learn from the people who live and work inside of our facilities to identify problems and advance solutions. Centered in our work is understanding the need for equity and harm reduction, as well as the need to respect the dignity and rights of every human being. JHA is keenly aware of the challenges and injustices entrenched in our prison and jail systems, as well as the difficulties people face when they walk out of institutional doors to reenter society. Most people leave jail and prison worse off than when they arrived. This hurts everyone, the individuals, their families, and all of our communities. One way in which we can give people a better chance of success is by making sure that they have a state ID card. JHA has long promoted policies that provide free state ID cards for system-impacted people. A state ID is a vital tool. It's critical to civic engagement and social enfranchisement. A state ID is needed to apply for housing, a job, government benefits, participate in educational programming, and so much more. The barriers to obtaining a state ID are myriad. Difficulty obtaining birth certificates and social security cards, the fees that are included, as well as often the long travel times and transportation costs involved in getting to all of the necessary offices, including the nearest DMV. Many people now leave prison in Illinois with a state ID in hand. We're thrilled that the Illinois Department of Corrections and the Secretary of State's office implemented this program and look forward to its continued expansion. The program announced today by the Secretary of State and Sheriff Dart is an important advancement. I commend them for creating a program that will get more state IDs into the hands of people who need this important assistance in order to move forward productively. Helping more people impacted by the criminal legal system get state IDs is one way we can begin to reduce reintegration hurdles and improve outcomes. A commitment to helping people impacted by the criminal legal system be successful is an investment in our most precious resource in Illinois, our citizens. Making it possible for every man and woman in or leaving custody to get an ID card is smart policy and a wise investment. Thank you.
Now, Tom Dart will take questions. No, the sheriff and I are happy to take any questions you may have.
Secretary, since this program was launched 2 years ago for state prisoners, how many people have benefited from the program, and what
The feedback has been great, and I'm going to double check these numbers, but in 2021, IDOC processed about 447. In 2022, about 875. And so far in 2023, we're a little above that. As you can see, it's growing and will continue to do so.
What were the hurdles to bring it to a county level as opposed to on the state level?
I don't know the answer to that. I can tell you that, and again, I ran on a platform of honesty and transparency. Let's just say it was not the sheriff's office or the sheriff. So I'm not here to point fingers in the past. We're here today. Sheriff reached out to us early on in the administration, and we found ways to work together and to make sure this pilot program runs as smoothly as possible.
Mr. Secretary, if it goes smoothly, when might it get to Springfield or Peoria?
That's a great question. We've already had some other counties just from this morning reach out to us wondering when it's going to, take place in other counties. I think what we're trying to do here is build this pilot program in Cook County. We have a great partner. We'll see how it goes. And again, as I mentioned in my remarks, ideally, we can prove that this is effective and doable here in Cook County, open up to other collar counties and counties throughout the state of Illinois, and ideally, in the perfect world, it gets replicated throughout the country.
The sheriff mentioned one of the hurdles for the county level was indeterminate amount of time incarcerated or in custody. How fast does your office need to work in order to get these IDs if someone is in custody for just a few hours?
So we can work pretty quickly. If we have the information, especially if at some point in the past this individual had, excuse me, a driver's license or ID, 10 days to 2 weeks, we can get them their identification card, depending on when we have the information that we need. So, pretty quickly. And I will tell you, oftentimes, it's even sooner than that. And the other point that we should mention is, we will not be charging these individuals for their ID card. We don't want the cost of an ID card to be a barrier.
Sheriff, how many people do you have cycling through the jail on a yearly basis, and how many do you think need this program?
So right now, we were just looking at the population in the jail, which is about 4,700 today, and of that population, about half of them need it. And so we were trying to extrapolate from that. And mind you, as I said, on the front end, we've been doing this sort of deep download on people for years. So we have some of that information we've been capturing already. Other parts of it is as simple as literally adding another box on our intake form to see, what it is that someone might be lacking, whether it's a birth certificate or things along those lines. So we already have the framework, so this isn't going to be hard on that part of it. But with the new bail procedures here, combined with some previous ones, our population, our largest group of people are folks that are cycling in and out within hours. And that population is usually about 150 or so a day. And that is the trickiest population, to be frank with you. And trust me, it wasn't like, let's go back to the good old days where everyone just sits there. No, but the problem is that they're moving through so quickly, whether it's trying to get a mental health treatment, substance abuse treatment, or this type of help. It's trickier because people, obviously, as nice as I am, people want to get out of there quick. And so you're trying to get people to give you this information, get all this stuff quickly. The good thing, though, is because we set up this framework early on that captures all this data. So the hard number, I wish I can give you one, but I can tell you can extrapolate. There's about 150 or so that are coming through every day, and they're going right in, right out. As we keep going on this thing, we've already talked, Alexi and I, about how we can hit some of these other populations as well. And so we've set up this system where we have points of contact throughout with all the different people. So whether it's people coming in custody, family members that come there visiting people, we have this net now that is really extensive that will be really helpful. But when I mentioned earlier thousands, it will be thousands because my God, I'm trying to remember when I first started, we used to have 12,000 people in custody on an average day. But cycling in and out, we were averaging about 110 or 120,000 people a year. So the numbers have gone down in many different categories, but we're still talking about thousands of people. So our big challenge will be for those people that are in and out quick, and we've got people who've been working on us already, and I'm really optimistic because this other part of it is, it's been languishing for 15 years or so. They moved so quickly; it was amazing. Just amazing. So I'm thinking this other stuff, we're going to get there, but it's going to be some really unique strategies involved with that. They really are. But we have, as I say, the framework's already there. I mean, it really is there. We case manage people when they leave us. So when people leave our custody, traditional jails just let them sort of wander off, and wherever they go, they go. For us, we will case manage people when they leave us, and it's a real robust system, and so we're in contact with people. So in the event we have either needing more documents or if we want to get something to somebody, we have a good idea of where people are at and how to stay in contact with them. Our biggest problem often is the cell phones. When people leave us, we have contact information, we know where they're living, they want to stay in contact with us, but they lose their cell phone service, and then we can't get a hold of people. So it's going to be a little bit tricky on that one population.
How do you deal with those who may be unhoused or don't have a permanent address?
That's a population that right now we case manage, and so we have connections to them, real robust ones, and so that will present some issues, but because of this case managing structure we set up, there is a real relationship there. So getting the documents can be a challenge at times, as Lexi mentioned, but they've really just been so aggressive in sort of blowing through a lot of these hurdles. I'm just not, if you'd asked me this a couple of years ago, I'd say, you know what, I don't know what to tell you. Right now, it's like we're blowing through hurdles pretty quickly, but that's going to be a tricky population too, and it always is. I mean, let's be honest with ourselves. On many levels, though, that population, we have partners for housing, and many times people just don't want it, and I understand that, and it's complex, I get it. So we have all these different things going on at once, and these are complex individual cases, blah, 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 we get that. So we're just going to keep knocking them off, and that's why with this population we started with, it was a concrete population, it was doable on many, many levels, and then we're going to go to next one, next one, next one, until we literally hit the whole universe. There isn't going to be something, well, that's a difficult group, we're just not going to deal with them. There's some that are just going to be a lot harder.
How does this feel to have it now at the county level?
I mean, it is, as people have said behind me, this is game-changing stuff. I mean, it's hard to get it across to the public at times because, you know, it's almost like a rite of passage. You know, you turn 17, I think it is, whatever it is now. I should know that I have like 100 kids. You get your ID, it's just this sort of, you know, process everyone goes through, and then you have that, and then on to the next thing. So people just don't fully understand what it is when you don't have that, and the doors that closes. And so this is really game-changing stuff. And I've talked to many, many people leaving my custody who literally, truly wanted to go in different directions, and there's been really just some dumb and stupid hurdles that have just made it tricky. I mean, these are already complex issues, but this is one that needs to have been blown through, and thanks to, you know, Lexi and his folks here, we're there. And so this, as I said, it's not just some additional piece of ID in someone's wallet. This will be the key that's going to unlock all these other options for people.
When will, just a quick question, when will the first IDs be issued to the county?
We're ready to begin today, so, you know, when we get the information, they'll start going out as quickly as possible based on the timeline I mentioned earlier.
And then, quick procedural question. And you
It's a
don't-
veteran move to leave the podium, by the way. I'm learning from the sheriff in many other ways.
I'm not expecting you guys to get into the weeds on this, we'll be here all day, I imagine, but it sounds like each case is going to be treated individually, trying to bypass some of the cost barriers, but also trying to bypass for some, having to wait on or track down a birth certificate or same with a social security card. Will some individuals still need to do that? And will they begin the process while they're incarcerated? And will they have help along the way to get that?
Yes, so I don't want to get too into the weeds on the specifics. Obviously, we have a job, we need certain identifying documents to get this done. But I think the reason that I feel good about this pilot program, also the reason why it's a pilot program, it allows us the opportunity to go through whatever kinks there are, is that it's not just the Sheriff's Office, it's not just the Secretary of State's office, it's us working together. It's also the ability to work with a probation officer. You know, it's a big reason why this pilot program is beginning with electronic monitoring. We have better data to these individuals, they have a probation officer. It's just another group to help us get a social security number, get a date of birth, help us with this identifying documentation, and with us being involved, we can, you know, do the important first step of seeing if they've ever even had a driver's license.
Yeah, and the one other thing I just want to add too is that sort of is like, I don't want to say the fail-safe, but the other part of it is what differentiates these individuals from just an average citizen is that these folks are all fingerprinted, and so there's this, we know who this person is, and so clearly for obvious reasons we have to know with certainty who this person is, so that gives an extra sort of sense of, you know, calm, for lack of a better word, that other documents are needed for a myriad of reasons. These folks are all fingerprinted, we know exactly who they are, so they're just trying to piece some parts together then.
Yeah, I'm glad that you brought that up, because I was going to maybe ask about that a little bit, because, you know, wouldn't there be some bigger issues if the person in custody wasn't who they said they were?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, good point. Yeah, so I mean, that's really one of those things where our starting point is completely different than the rest of the world. We know who this is. We know with, you know, complete certainty who this person is. And so then the Lexi's folks have been just great. Starting with that, they've then been able to walk their way through the rest of the stuff knowing that, you know, we have, I don't want to say fail-safe, but it's pretty much that.
And in addition to fingerprinting, we use facial recognition software to make sure
Yeah.
that people are who they, so, the safeguards will be in play. I think the bigger issue will be making sure they have this information to get to us. I'm not overly concerned about,
Yeah.
the wrong person having an ID.
Yeah, which at the heart of it was some of the stumbling blocks, which was some of the stuff that was puzzling to me, because we, by and large, we do some things good, some things not so good. We do know who's there, and so that's why it's been so great working with Alexi on this stuff, too. It's just like knocking things over, because we started at a different place.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you guys
Thank you
for
so
being,
much.
thank you so much, and I do want to recognize again the Sheriff's Office, the Safer Foundation, and the John Howard Association for their leadership on this issue. So thank you so much for being here. Great job. Thank you. That's it. Thanks, Sheriff.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. We're excited about it.
When I first learned about this problem, the way I used to respond was how would be certain enough for someone to deny them their liberty, and not certain enough to give them a state ID.
That's a great,
Yeah.
that's a great.
And again, the first instinct,
You made the point that was so spot on, because I talked to people leaving their custody before. People